and welcome back to Shift Code Learn, the podcast where we explore the realities of the tech world, the challenges we face, the pathways that help us grow both personally and professionally. I'm your host, Riaz, Manager Talent Acquisition here at Good Core Software. I've been really excited about today's episode because it touches on something all of us in tech experience: rapid change and the constant need to evolve. Our topic for today's podcast is building your personal growth playbook, coaching yourself through tech career challenges. And joining me is someone who truly understands growth from the inside out, Darin Coble, an executive coach and HR leader with extensive experience helping professionals navigate their careers with clarity and confidence. Darin, welcome to the show.
Hi, Riaz. Thanks for having me.
Darin, before we dive in, the pace of change in tech is incredible, from emerging tools to evolving expectations and frequent disruptions. My question to you is why it is becoming so important for tech professionals to build a personal growth playbook instead of waiting for external guidance from managers or organizations?
I think that there's a variety of factors at play here. I think number one, I would argue as an HR leader through my career in Fortune 500, and then even as a coach now, where I often work with folks that have lost their job. We like to think it's the company's responsibility to develop us and to take care of us and to do that. And the reality is that's not what the company got into business to do. They're not making money developing their people in an overall macro perspective. And I think the two things that really come to mind for me is, if you're lucky enough to be at a company that's got a great HR department and learning development team, you may get some leadership. Most of your managers are being promoted through technical expertise, not through their ability to lead people, and what will once and soon become the ability to lead agents and people. And I think that's the innate piece that a lot of folks throughout my career and now as a coach that I work with, they just look for the company to do it. And to me, your career is too important to outsource. You've got to own it yourself. My mantra as a coach is you drive, I navigate. And I think that's the way that every person should look at their career inside of a corporation is, all right, this is my responsibility. I have to drive this. And where I often see is we just get so bogged down in delivery and we forget to take care of ourselves and take care of our career. And I think that as a tech professional, your industry and this industry is changing so fast. And, while AI has really come in and is adding this, I think you've got to take responsibility in owning and understanding what your role is going to be and what this industry looks like in the next 5 years, I'd argue. McKinsey put out a report that 14% of folks are, probably going to be out of work just due to AI. And I think in the tech space, I'm sure you're seeing it on the software development teams and everywhere else, is the role has changed where your juniors, you're going to have less of them. So what are you going to do strategically to ensure you're developing yourself to fit in what the industry looks like next?
Right. So the AI is impacting every sector, right?
Yeah.
Be it juniors, be it seniors. What do you see in the next decade? What's going to happen, Darin? Because this is getting scary now. People are losing jobs. We just had a podcast with one lady yesterday who came to our office, and she was saying that whenever a job opens up, their management first asked them that can you check if that job AI can do that job or not? If not, then you got to hire someone. So what do you think about it?
Yeah. I think it's a real issue, a real concern. But I think that, an economist I heard, I cannot remember who she was, but she made the comment that in her mind and in the overall mindset is AI is not going to take people's jobs. It's people that are using AI that are going to take people's jobs. And that really resonated with me because even in my practice as an HR executive and HR consultant on the side of coaching, I'm leveraging AI heavily. I'm able to get things done and pace and time that I never thought would be possible. Projects that would have taken weeks, months can take a day now. And just having a thought partnership and using the critical thinking. And so I think everybody needs to look at their role and figure out how can AI supplement what they do. And I think if you just put your head in the sand, they're saying, no, I don't need to know AI. I think, fortunately, we're talking to a tech audience here, so it's less prominent than some of the other industries out there that I work with. That you just need to look at how can it enhance what you do. And a lot of what I'm seeing is the highly repetitive applications. The language learning models. I was listening to, I think, your sister pod or brother podcast recently, and they were just talking about how the language learning models are kind of reaching a peak right now. Like the move from Chat GPT 4 to 4.5 or 5 was just not as powerful as the other previous changes have been. And so I think now's the time to really look at, as a professional, how can I apply this to my work? And then also what I'm doing, what can be replaced by an agent? And if you're looking at that and seeing, oh my gosh, this is a problem, then start having conversations externally and start having conversations, I hate to say it, with AI on how can I develop myself and protect my career. I love what I do. How do I find my niche with AI coming?
Uh, from the talent acquisition perspective, I'm a talent acquisition professional.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in recruitment for over a decade now. I often see professionals overlook their own career challenges uh, until something forces their attention, like uh, a missed promotion, a burnout, or maybe feeling stuck. So, what are
Mm-hmm.
some common challenges tech professionals face that can slow down or even derail their career growth?
Um, I think as I look at this, I see a lot of the folks in the tech space and in your world super intelligent. Highly wicked, just logical thought, critical thinkers, and just brilliant. And so a lot of the folks I coach are high achieving leaders that are the brilliant technical minds. They're the smartest person in the room. And that's a trap. Being the smartest person in the room can oftentimes hinder your ability to influence others, communicate effectively, build the relationships around you that you need to be able to advance beyond just being the best and being the smartest. And that's a trap that I often see and I often work with folks on, that it's a trap that can be limiting. So you can climb and grow in your career to a point that your brilliance and your technical expertise will get you only so far, because you've got to be able to work with other people. And I think that that's like one of the first traps that I spend a lot of time working with leaders on and executives on, is they've been promoted to this point where their technical expertise has gotten it, but their EQ, their emotional intelligence, emotional quotient has not developed with them. And so smartest person in the room, sometimes the most abrasive, they get work done just through brute force. And I think that's a big trap that folks run into. I think the other issue and unseen challenge that I run into a lot of times is we just don't stop and put the mirror up and say, what am I doing this for? What do I want to be when I grow up? And what am I doing to get there? And I call that prioritizing yourself. And so I think, like, when I look and think through that, it's just remembering to stop, set some goals. When I interview folks, one of the first questions I ask, or at least I ask it in the interview, is what do you want to be when you grow up? And what are you doing to get there? And I ask that. I don't care if you're 21 coming out of college, or if you're 65 moving into your final position in your career. I want to understand, like, what are you doing to think about what you want to do to get when you grow up, and what you want to be when you grow up. And I think the other piece too, if I can add another one, is as you're focused on delivery, and so you're not focusing on developing yourself and developing your skill sets, your both how you do the work and what you do, You also just spend time with the people you work with. And so many times I've been working with employees that have been displaced by their company 15, 20 years, however long, 2 years, and their network of people that they interact with and they get information about the industry and about the technology and about what's going on are just the people in that company. And the importance of networking and getting out there and spending time going to conferences. If you can get the time, you got to make the time. Even if the company's not paying for it, do it. Go get smarter, go educate yourself, but more importantly, go meet people in the industry. And Riaz, one thing that when I was in house with Fortune 500, I always trained my executives and my leaders, look, you need to always be recruiting. I want you going to conferences, I want you going everywhere else, talking to people and building your portfolio of talent, that when an opportunity comes up, you know what, I met this guy at that conference, let me see what he's up to. Build those
Yeah.
relationships now. And I think the same applies for, the folks that are not in leadership. You need to always be interviewing. Get out there. Join the groups and the organizations in your industry and industry space that make sense in the neighborhood, even in the city you're in, the metropolitan. Connect with folks in your space and just get external than outside of your own company. And I think a lot of folks get trapped there. It's like, oh, my company is going to take care of me. They're going to develop me. No. If you're lucky, yes. If you got a great manager, yes. But don't rely on that. Even when I worked with as a leader in the organization, I like to think I developed people pretty well, but I was way more into it when they came to me saying, hey, I think this is what I want to be when I grow up, and here's what I think I need. What do you think about that? That was a lot better conversation than the employee that came to my desk and sat there and looked at me and said, okay, what's next for me? When am I getting promoted? And I think that, you got to own it and just get outside. Just remember that you're delivering a product for a company. And this is tough for an HR guy to say, but you're delivering a product for a company. They've hired you to deliver X. Don't let that be 100% of your life and your career. Get outside, network, and prioritize yourself. That's the biggest thing I tell people, next to think about how you get your work done. You might be the smartest in the room, and you might be stepping on people or being rude or whatever else that's going to hinder you at some point. So,
Right. Networking is very important. And not just networking on social media applications, but in in-person meetings, maybe a cup of coffee with a colleague, or attending seminars, attending webinars, and so on and so forth. This really helps in recruiting. When you have a position opens up and you remember that I spoke to a guy who was a technical lead in that company, and you just pick up a phone and call him and ask, hey, are you open to this particular role? I have a position. What do you think about it? So
absolutely.
that's really a practical advice, Darin. Let's talk about your specialty, Darin, self-coaching. Um,
Yeah.
People in tech are constantly juggling so much that feeling overwhelmed is pretty common. So what does coaching yourself actually look like in practice? And what techniques can people start using immediately?
Sure. Yeah. So as an executive coach, when I'm working with clients, the first thing that we always talk about is, I go back to the what do you want to be when you grow up question. And that's goal setting. So, oftentimes if you haven't stepped back and set this is what I want to be in, 10 years, 20 years, this is where I want to get to in my career, stop and do that. And so set some goals, set long term and then back in the midterm, and even set some short term. And that's the big step that I think folks will skip sometimes. They just get in and they just start churning and think the company's going to take care of me. I'll grow in my career or whatever else. And I think as you get more mature in your career, oftentimes what I see folks do, and that I coach folks through too, is as you think about what you want to be when you grow up, ask the question of which track do I want to get into? Do I want to be a subject matter expert and move into just being the best damn coder out there, or just, doing software development, whatever it is? Do I want to be the technical expert? Do I want to be a leader? Do I want to go into sales? Like what part of the organization do you want to get into? And realize that those are not concrete silos. I look at them as swim lanes. Some you're going to move to be, if you want to be the CEO, you're going to need to be fluent in all 3 lanes, or even 4 or 5 lanes. Like you're going to have to get into finance and accounting and understand like the economics and those kinds of things. But so that's my first piece as a coach is, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to get to? And then understand that life happens. You know, I grew up, I came out of grad school, and my long-term goal was, I want to be the CHRO of a public company. Life happened. I happened. Like I look up and I'm nearing that stage and I'm unhappy. I was miserable. I had 2 kids young. I was missing their development and growth. I laid over 1,000 people off in the last like 6 or 7 years. It was a terrible time. And we had another layoff coming. I was like, this is not what I signed up for. So I started setting up my company, and then lo and behold, my CHRO came to me and said, hey, we're looking at you for succession. We want to put a strong development plan together for you. And I want to reorg, and let's look at what that looks like. And I look up and go, oh my God. All right. So here I am at the peak. I'm hitting my big goal, but I'm not happy. It's not what I want to do. And so think life happens. So be open to that. Realize and take an inventory every once in a while from a coaching perspective of, what do I need? What's working for me and what isn't working for me? I think another part of coaching yourself. So once you've set your goals, get external. And what I mean by external is ask other people who have insight on you, on how you perform at work, on what you do. What are you doing well? What could you do to be more effective? And so what I call it, and what I work with a lot of my clients with, is building an ally system. And so it's 3 to 5, 6 people that you work with that see you work, the how you work, and the work product that you deliver, the how and the what. And take an inventory of that and ask them, like, hey, what's one thing that I'm doing well? What's one thing I could do even better, that I could be even more effective in working with you or working with the team? And then asking them, get that ally engaged. How can you help support me in that growth? And so get them to be part of your coaching system from a personal network. And so and then asking, hey, how can I help you? Build that ally system and get through that. And I think, I'm going to throw this out there because it's something I've been working on that's been super helpful, but a personal board of directors. And so from a self-coaching perspective, Riaz, I know this, we're taking it a little out of the network scope of what we talked about, but I've been playing around with AI on building my own personal board of directors. And so putting leaders and coaches and entrepreneurs into a model in AI that I go to in this GPT, and I have conversations with. Hey, and you set it up as you pick like the top people in your industry and in your career and those kinds of things, and say, hey, I'm building a personal board of directors. I want to engage with this as I'm looking at my career trajectory. I'm looking at different problems I'm running into at work, at home, whatever. And I want this to be a personal board of directors from these perspectives. And it's a pretty cool exercise to just have that conversation and have some group of, it's an agent, it's a bot, but it's there for me to go reach out to. With that, I'm building my own personal board of directors as well, who are actual humans in my world, in my space, that work with me, know with me, have known me for 20 years, but have also accomplished what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm working towards a 7-figure coaching business. That's where I'm headed. And I'm finding coaches that have done that so I can learn from them too. So I think from a coaching perspective, set goals, get external, get an ally system around you, and then just ask yourself questions, get curious. How am I doing? Like actually hold a mirror up and be open to the tough feedback that you may have from others or yourself to say, oh, wow, how did I deliver here? Who did I step on, or who did I upset, and was it legit? You're going to upset people. It's, if you're not doing your job right, if you're not probably upsetting somebody at some point. You're not taking the risks you need to, but just be open to asking yourself questions, and then leverage external folks. And look, I'm having a ton of fun with this AI board of directors. There are a couple articles that have come out in the last 6 months that kind of talk about it, and I can send it to you if you want to put in the links. Put in the notes of the podcast. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and I'm looking to present a couple things and do some live examples of that in the future. So
Right, Darin, but that brings up a question. Like someone listening might be wondering, like I'm ready to build my personal growth playbook, but where do I actually begin? So what are the essential components of a personal growth playbook for someone working in tech?
yeah, so I go back to the coaching answer a little bit there, and set goals. What do I want to be, right? Like you have an end in mind, and so start with the end in mind using Simon Sinek's language. But first, just start there, and then I think um, getting curious around what am I good at. Build your strengths inventory and kind of document what you do best. Um, I like to look at and have clients look at, why did you get into this? Why did you enter this career? Like what got you into tech? And a lot of times the answers are, oh man, I just love solving problems. Like I just love it. And I like delivering, tactile outcomes, and just I love continuous learning. I think there's job security, but go back again to what the heck brought you to what you're doing today, and think about it. And what is that, and how did that tie into what you want to be when you grow up, your end goal? And start there. And then start peeling. I look as a human, and look at kind of a person in their career as an onion. So start peeling that first layer of the onion back. What are you really good at? How do you think? How do you collaborate with people? How do you add value to the company and the team you're working in? Look at those kinds of things and think about how that's feeding to your increased performance, your increased engagement with the team, and kind of your personal well-being. And then start looking at how all that feeds into the goals. And so as you're evaluating yourself, move into what's everybody else saying about me. Get that feedback. So I talked about the ally system earlier. Go to your 3 to 5, 6 allies that you've engaged with and talked to, and said, hey, what am I good at? How we work? What's the best project we've ever worked on, and what was going on to do that, so that you know what to bring more of. But in that playbook, it's got to include feedback. So I know some companies are leveraging 360s, or leveraging annual performance reviews, or even quarterly performance reviews, or even just constant feedback from the boss, or from the supervisor and from the team. But take that feedback and see how it applies to your personal vision of what you see, and get curious and be open to it. And I like to come from a positive psychology perspective of, all right, let's work on what we're good at. Let's think about, if I could be more effective, what would it be? Instead of you suck at this, Riaz, it's, hey man, I've noticed that you're really good at this, but when this happens, you lose the team. Or, when you raise your voice and pound your fist on the table, I'm not saying you do that, Riaz, but you lose the entire team. But when you're engaged, asking questions and being curious, they are there and 100% with you. And it's just evaluating those types of things, and taking a perspective and getting that feedback from the rest of your organization. And then on the technical side, look at what you want to be when you grow up. Look at that end goal, and just build kind of a skill roadmap. Like, what does the progression look like of, for me to reach this level in my career, what are the technical skills that I need to learn? And, I'll go back to AI again, like build a GBT. And, if you don't let, I use a ton of Claude because I'm in Claude more of the time, but I've got subscriptions to 4 or 5 different AI platforms right now. that I'm engaged in, and I use it all for different skill sets, like different needs. But Claude's one of my big thought partners because I'm doing a lot of more analytical research, that kind of work. But in that respect, go to Claude or go to GPT and say, hey, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Like, feed it a bunch of information about yourself, about your career. Load your resume in there. I would recommend the paid subscription. Get it to where it's not training the model, and what you're putting in there is yours. But build your own GPT for your career growth and put in there, these are my goals. This is where I'm at today. This is my education. These are the things that have worked really well in my career. I'm stuck here. Looking at, and just ask tell it, I want to build a playbook for my career, a growth playbook. And this is how old I am. This is where I'm at. Like, don't overthink it, because I will tell you, the people that take action are the ones that work, that happens. And I'm a thinker. I live in my head, man. I think all day long. What if I did this? What if I did that? And I finally have just had to start using, I think it's a 5-second methodology of, for God's sake, just do something the next 5 seconds, dude. Just take action. And that's where AI has really helped me, is just getting off center. And so build your GPT, your career GPT, your life GPT, whatever, but go in there and say, hey, I want to build a career growth playbook. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to be when I grow up. And there are a lot of coaches that are terrified. There are a lot of people out there terrified about AI. And I'm telling you that I was a coach, I would probably be working with you to build a playbook. But I'm also going to be telling you, go to AI and let's see what it tells you. And then a coach, what I do is I help you turn that into action. I help you drive accountability to what you're actually doing and driving and wanting. And your ally system can do that. Your supervisor, your manager can do that. But, and it gets it wrong. It's a machine. It's early in phase. So use your critical thinking skills to be like, yeah, that doesn't make any freaking sense. So tell it that, teach it, and have a conversation with it, but get something there to at least have, okay, yeah, this is super simple. In the next, 2 to 5 years, this is where I want to get. And these are the types of skill sets I need. These are the types of relationships I should be building. If I want to be a leader, these are the types of things I should be paying attention to as a leader, from an emotional intelligence perspective, from how I interact, how I influence, how do I motivate other people? How am I motivated? And so build that roadmap. And so build it from a skills perspective, and build it from an emotional intelligence, a leadership perspective, to just kind of see how that looks like. And but make sure, again, long-term goals, midterm goals, short-term goals, and keep long-term in mind, focus on the short, and climb the ladder as you go.
Darin, this has been such a great conversation. You've given us real actionable tools, not just theory, I'd say. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. And thank you so much for your time. I know that in Houston right now, it's early morning. I believe you're an early bird. Thank you so much for your time, Darin.
Yeah. Riaz, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you and the team having me, and let me join and just kind of talk about this stuff. I'm passionate, as you can probably tell, about it, and I'm passionate about how AI fits in. And yeah, don't be afraid to have a conversation with the machine. Just don't let it replace you, replace actual humans. So you need to do both. But yeah, no, I really appreciate it, and I think it's cool what you're building here.
Thank you so much. And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Shift Code Learn. If today's conversation helped you think differently about your growth, don't forget to share it with someone who might benefit, and follow us for more conversations with people driving tech forward. Until next time, keep shifting, keep coding, and keep learning. We'll see you in the next episode.